Hello, this is Chapter 4, Stage 2, Research Design and Overview. Okay, here we go. Industry thought leadership. With data collection, the sooner the better is always the best answer. Good research is about using the right platform for each piece of a study, for each activity or interaction. Here's our exhibits. Design the research. Stage 1, we have investigative questions. And then we design the research. Data collection, design, sampling design, what are the measurement questions, and develop measurement instrument. And we collect and prepare the data. Dimensions of data collection design, objective of the study, reporting, who, what, where, when, how, in the past, descriptive, who, what, when, where, how, now, and causal, explanatory and predictive. Researchers' ability to manipulate variables being studied. Is it experimental or is it ex post facto? And what is the topical scope of the study? Statistical study, case study, and then the measurement emphasis. Is it qualitative, emphasis on measures of meaning, or is it quantitative, emphasis on measures of frequency? And then what about the complexity of design? Is it a single methodology or multiple methodologies? And how about data collection? Is it passive or active? And the research environment, is it a field setting? Is it a laboratory or is it simulation? These are all the dimensions of the data collection design. Snapshots, close-ups, and pick profiles. Research influences hiring practices at Goldman Sachs. There's a management dilemma. The company is not changing with the environment. There's high turnover, low retention, and the candidate pool is lured away. There are also talent and skill gaps. And there's culture and tradition. It's not effectiveness in its dictate process. And assessment measurements haven't changed. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. Environmental changes. Job holders are less loyal. The job retention is low. And per hire cost is high, $4,129. And competition from outside the industry for top candidates is also an influence. Asynchronous online structured interview, day and time chosen by the candidate. Their 6 critical competencies are evaluated, and each interview assessed by trained assessors using a standardized rubric for each of 6 competencies. And assessors were themselves assessed for bias. Close-up, measuring human emotion with facial coding. How a person feels about a product or service in the moment activates memories and triggers behavior that influences their rational responses, whether they buy a product, talk about it with others, or recommend it. Measuring human emotion with facial coding. So, universal human emotions: disgust, sadness, happiness, fear, anger, surprise. We wanted participants' spontaneous general reactions second by second as they watched each video, rather than basing our decisions solely on their stated behavior. And we can see from the charts as we the candidates viewed the data. Snapshot. Compliance is operations active research initiative. Operations research. Suppliers provide data for product compliance, regulatory requirements, rules, and standards a product must meet to be placed on the market. Regulatory compliance, and that is a business follows state, federal, and international laws and regulations relevant to its operations. Close-up. How agile research helped prove the value in a packaging redesign. Are consumers more or less likely to buy the new packaging versus the current one? Phase 1, online qualitative, and Phase 2, online survey. Which one would you choose? The short 5-day recruit to report time frame was critical. By automating certain steps in the research process that don't add value, research strategists are able to focus on what matters: research design, data collection, analysis, and delivering reports within days instead of months. Pulse point. 78. The percent of people who wish they could have a text conversation with a business. Text images. From the headlines and discussions, Ticketmaster, like many other businesses, uses a practice called dynamic pricing. This means they charge more to customers where and when demand is high, which may result in selling a ticket above its original published price. This is in part what was happening during Taylor Swift's Eras Tour in the summer of 2023. Some of Swift's fans were so outraged at Ticketmaster's crashed website, its practice of using bots to purchase blocks of tickets to inflate prices, and ticket unavailability that they sued. Others use social media to criticize the monopolistic ticketing giant that controls the ticketing for many of Swift's concert venues. Live Nation, Ticketmaster's parent, is being investigated by the Justice Department for violation of antitrust laws. Several states have passed laws affecting ticketing. The whole situation has been a PR disaster for Ticketmaster. Given these facts, write an appropriate research question and several investigative questions. Then use Exhibit 4.2 to come up with a statement describing the data collection dimensions for those investigative questions. And this is precisely what research would do in businesses and find out exactly what's going on. Understand that tasks that comprise research design and there's types of variable relationships and also the major descriptors of research design. What is research design? Well, it's a blueprint, a plan, a guide, and a framework for your research. Research design essentials include a time-based plan. It's also based on specific research questions and guide for selecting sources of information and methods. And then the framework for specifying the relationships among the variables, independent, dependent, etc. And then we described this research earlier. And then what about the exploratory study? Loose structure, expand understanding of the dilemma, provide insight on a management problem, and define research and question hypotheses. There are some exploratory methods, and these include participant observation, film, photographs, projective techniques, case studies, ethnography, expert interviews, document analysis, and proxemics and kinesics. A formal study that begins with the hypothesis or research questions and the precise procedures for data collection and analysis. Some formal study methods include self-administered surveys, or a survey via personal interview, a telephone survey, true experiments, pre-experiments, and quasi-experiments. And then we have sampling design, census, and sample. Data collection, passive, active. Passive data collection is less intrusive, less memory decay, more accurate in behavior measures and multiple measure accuracy. It's also less costly. Active data is more detailed, motivation, information, context of behavior, more time consuming, and more costly. Other dimensions of data collection design, you've got your descriptors, topical scope, measurement emphasis, complexity, research, environment, time dimension, and participants' awareness, and also ability to manipulate variables. Take a look also, what is the objective of the study? Descriptive, causal predictive, causal explanatory, or just reporting? Reporting study, focus on past, who, what, where, when, how much. Descriptive, focus on now, who, what, where, when, how much. Descriptive studies, descriptions of population characteristics, estimates of frequency of characteristics, discovery of associations among variables. Causal studies, causal explanatory, and causal predictive. Here's some other dimensions of data collection design. An ability to manipulate variables, ex post facto study, after the fact, report on what happened to the measured variable, no manipulation possible. Experiment, study involving the manipulation or control of one or more variables to determine the effect on another variable. Topical scope, statistical study, case study. Topical scope, statistical, breadth, population inferences, quantitative, generalizable findings. Case study, depth, detail, qualitative, and multiple sources of information. Here's other dimensions. Measurement emphasis, is it qualitative or is it quantitative? Single method study, multi-method study. Research environment, field conditions, lab conditions, or simulations. Time dimension, cross-section or longitudinal. Participants' awareness of research. No deviation perceived. Deviation perceived as unrelated. Deviation perceived as researcher-induced. Different dimensions, talked about these. And then the measurement instruments. Why publish business research? Well, certify results through peer review, enhances a firm's reputation. It also attracts potential investors, obtain positive news coverage because the news usually covers those kind of reports. It may bring in high-value employees, and also it may help to establish new research alliances and establish new R&D alliances. Why businesses don't publish research? Protect IP, strategic tactical moves, protect from communities, or protect strategic tactical moves from competitors. Okay, I thank you for listening.